This is the High Desert Luthiery Podcast with luthier Jimmy Deveney.
And then I'll bring some of my builds. I don't know that there will be anything new by then, but you never know. I might find a pair of pickups I have to build a guitar around.
Jimmy Deveney from Percolator Guitar Repairs. It was great to get to know him a little better, from past experiences in different fields and have some coffee talk along with some guitar talk. All right, welcome to another episode of the High Desert Luthiery Podcast. I'm Perry from Unga Guitars and the creator of the High Desert Luthiery Invitational, or HDLI for short. This show will happen twice a year in celebration of luthiers, luthier-adjacent creators, musicians, and the art that comes from combining these things. The HDLI is a unique event that encourages actual support in the music community by providing free boosts to the vendors and free admission to the public. The event includes vendors and musicians that are curated by me to create a cohesive, organized event. The HDLI encourages community and collaboration amongst the artists. This podcast is one way to help us all get to know one another. To learn more about the show and the artist, please visit the website highdesertluthery.com. All right, today I'm going to be interviewing Percolator Guitars. Yeah, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just hanging out here. Did another interview earlier, and I got one right after this, and
Awesome.
pretty excited to do that. Yeah. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Jimmy Deveney. I own Percolator Guitar Repair here in Albuquerque.
All right. And so you operate mainly as a repair guy. Is that correct?
Primarily, yeah. I have done building in the past, and it is definitely a future aspiration to do it again. When I moved back here to Albuquerque, it was to help care for my parents, and I still care for my mom. And honestly, the repair business just took off and got so busy that like splitting my time already between my wife and playing music and my mom and doing repairs, like there's not really any time left for active building at the moment, but I'll get back to it.
I see. Do you have like a lane of repairs that you like to stick into, or do you do all sorts of different repairs?
I'm fairly well versed. I would say I am better, that my specialty really kind of has become guitar electronics or guitar and bass electronics. I'm getting a lot of work that other luthiers in town don't want to deal with because I've gotten a reputation for being able to do it. So that's great. If I have stuff that I don't want to do, I certainly pass it off to those same luthiers. I come from a building background of solid body electrics, both set neck and bolt on neck, for a couple companies in Austin. So I would say that's my strong point in repair as well. Is everything from setups to refrets to electronics, any sort of hardware. But I do mess with acoustic repairs. I would say when you get into structural acoustic repairs beyond cracks or loose braces, I'm not big on doing neck resets. I definitely farm those out. I'll do bridge reglues, rehumidify stuff, which is really 70% of the battle in this climate is getting a guitar humidified again, getting it stable from drying out.
Yeah, right on. So what companies did you work for in Texas?
I worked for Taya Guitars for a long time, and they're solid body electrics, and they started as kind of a tribute to Zemaitis guitars. So they have the aluminum plates with engraving. A lot of the engraving was done by the owner by hand at first, and then it became laser etched. And as production ramped up, it kind of changed to a more production friendly product. But I kind of took stuff right when it came out of the wood shop necks and bodies, and we'd join the neck. Those were all glued necks. And we'd, just take it from there through finish and through assembly and make it into a playable guitar. And then I worked for a company called Moniker, which was really fun because their model was like pre-Fender Mod Shop. That was their model. They had a website where you could kind of drag and drop and pick and choose what you wanted in your guitar. So the fun thing about that job is literally every guitar was different,
I remember that. I thought their website builder was amazing. And
Yeah.
What happened to them? They like disappeared.
Yeah, I left there in 2016, summer of 2016, and I think I went to work for a big repair shop in town that was super busy. And I think they stayed up until 2018. I think I had moved to Albuquerque by the time they closed. So I don't really know exactly what happened. They were always just making it. They were a young company, they were around under 5 years. So any company trying to make guitars, there was a lot of us for a company that young. There was a full wood shop, a full finish crew, full assembly crew, and a lot of people doing logistics, ordering parts and managing the flow of work. So it was a big crew for a company that young.
Yeah, especially for how low they were selling their instruments for. Like
Mhm.
I would imagine, it's tough just running, a one-man shop full time,
Right.
And staying profitable. I can only imagine. I never worked the books for Santa Cruz, but
Mhm.
I remember the boss coming in like at the end of the week, like, considering sending people home,
The problem with that job is there were days where I'd come in and they'd be like, "We don't need you the rest of the week." That was why I started looking for other work to begin with. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's cool to have that experience. And did you get to work like all aspects of the jobs at both shops?
yeah, that was kind of a requirement, which I think is really smart, is that you had to be able to go work in the wood shop and take something from a piece of wood to a body or a piece of wood to a neck, and then you had to work in the paint shop and you had to take it through all the different stages of finish and where I landed, even though we all cross-trained, I was final assembly,
Oh, right on.
which really plays into repair.
Definitely. So I heard about you through a previous job roasting coffee.
Yeah.
And I was just telling Elson that, oh, wow, I've never really had a conversation with Jimmy beyond anything like just simple few minutes, running in and out of the music go round and drop off a bag of coffee. This will be kind of nice. So your name Percolator Guitar Repair is to me obviously coffee related. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, along with my love of guitars, I'm a serious coffee head, and that really developed when I was in Austin as well, because there was a really good coffee scene, a lot of good shops, which I think Albuquerque has for a town this size. I think we have amazing coffee. But yeah, I got into it in Austin. I got into espresso, and I got into different roasts and different origins, and a shop that I worked in actually had an espresso bar for customers, and so I learned a little bit there about making espresso and that. But then when I moved here, I just needed a part-time job right away, and I started working at Michael Thomas, and then I helped start Rust is Gold Coffee about 6 months later. And yeah, and I worked in coffee for the first 3 years I was here, doing that and guitar repair until the guitar repair overtook it, But I love coffee, and the word percolator, like, it also kind of when I'm looking, especially at an electronics problem, like sometimes I just have to stare at it and let my mind go, and it's percolating. That's what it's doing. So, yeah.
All right, all right. Just sticking with coffee for a second. Do you have any favorite origins or a favorite origin?
I kind of like Central and South American stuff. I'm not big on Brazil, but I love Guatemala um and Peru. For a while, I was real into Ethiopian with that real bright blueberry thing, but I kind of wore out on that. It was everywhere for a while.
Yeah, and roast
Um,
level, are you a light guy, medium, dark?
I think I also was very light for a while, but I think I'm kind of settling at a medium. I think my favorite is just a straight Peru at medium, you know. Like as far as like drink it all day, it's good cold. It's good if you walk away from your cup for a couple hours and come back. It's good.
Right on. Do you have
Yeah.
any favorite roasters here in Albuquerque?
I love Red Rock. I haven't had a lot of bad coffee here. I like Little Bear. I like Slow Burn. Rest is Gold. When I was there, I was roasting on a 2 pound gas roaster, like propane roaster, almost a popcorn popper. It was tiny, and we were doing single origins. We did Guatemala, Peru, and Colombian, and we would just do a few bags a week. It was just kind of to get our feet wet. And they kept it going when I left, and they actually bought a real commercial roaster, and they're doing great coffee there.
Oh wow, yeah,
Mhm.
because I remember when you split from there,
Mhm.
Red Rock, that's who I was working for, was
Mhm.
roasting their coffee. And so now they're roasting their coffee on their own.
Well, they still do that. Chad and Rachel from Red Rock helped me make that fifth gear espresso, which is exclusive to Rest is Gold. And so that's still the espresso there.
Oh,
But
right on.
the drip coffee is they do, any other brew is stuff they do in house.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, the coffee ends up being such an important part of life.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a ritual every morning. I get
Hmm.
up, make some coffee, however
Hmm.
I'm going to make it and get my day started. And, if I'm lucky, the afternoon has more coffee to greet me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really wild getting to met all kinds of musicians rolling through there.
Hmm.
And I mean, I worked in the back, but
Hmm.
every now and then I'd get to hear stories or meet people. It was a very cool job,
Yeah.
uh, for sure. Kind of miss it. I love roasting coffee.
Oh, yeah. I love the smell. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
It's a very satisfying process. Like doing repairs and doing building, like, we're very methodical. And I think roasting coffee really satisfies that part of my brain, is that like you have to go through an order of steps to get to success.
Yeah, yeah. I that was my first coffee roasting gig, and they have like a basically a CNC roaster,
Mm.
the mooring, and so you can literally
Mm.
just sit back and let it do its thing, with
Oh,
with
yeah.
with minimal intervention. Uh,
Hmm.
but like dialing things in is was really interesting too, learning how to work that machine and
Yeah.
learning how to adjust for, the temperature outside,
Hmm.
the temperature inside, the moisture level of the beans, like just learning how to read the beans.
Yeah.
Like most things, it's very similar adjustments that we make when we're building things or repairing
Right.
things.
Hmm.
But it was a lot of fun. So, are you from Albuquerque?
I did grow up here. Yeah.
Oh, right on,
Here till I was 26.
right on, right on. So you moved away, came back.
I've been back 6 years.
Right on, right
Yeah.
on. So like your builds that you had at the last guitar show that we did,
Hmm.
they're pretty fresh, telly style,
Hmm.
very unique. Can you talk about those?
Part of my time in Austin, I was gone from Albuquerque for about 18 years, and most of that was in Austin, and most of it was playing kind of original music, but it definitely in the honky tonk classic country vein. So tellies were my main squeeze. Um, and so yeah, just finding interesting ways to keep that fresh for me. I have a buddy who's a great pickup winder who we were roommates in Austin, and now he lives in New York, and his company's called Gemini. He started rewinding. He got going doing gold foil rewinds of the different, Guayatone and Teisco and all the different 60s gold foils. He would research what kind of wire they were and blah, 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 and make the best replication he could. So I started throwing those in some of my guitars. And I was like, wow, it's like a whole different animal now. So like stuff like that. I just built one with a Filtertron in the neck and a, the old original prototype, like snakehead headstock. And I love four-way switches. Getting that series versus parallel thing going. Just little things to make a guitar I've been playing for 30 years interesting still. So,
Yeah, you mentioned
yeah.
electronics being sort of like your superpower as far as
Hmm.
repairs go. Like, do you have any like sort of tricks that have become like your signature or like do you have like favorite mods that you're doing? You mentioned a four-way switch on the
Hmm.
Telecaster.
Yeah. Finding ways to, not all, some Tele neck pickups have a third lead. They have both ends of the coil and then a ground. And so that's an easy pickup to put on a four-way switch. Um, you can run it series or parallel because you have both ends of the coil available. But finding ways to do that with pickups that aren't already modified to do that, using the case as your ground, and um, I like doing that. And that allows me to use the four-way switch. I find pairing Tele bridge pickups, which I love, with other pickups can sometimes be a challenge because they're so bright, and you know like they didn't go well with the Filtertron I was trying to use at first at all. So I had to try various values of caps as kind of a treble bleed on that bridge pickup until I found the one that made them match. I just like troubleshooting stuff like that. You know, my superpower though is that I am just tenacious about researching and finding the right wiring schematic and finding the right way to do it. Like, I think I do a lot more web searching and research than most people want to do with electronics problems. Like if a guitar comes in that's just a mystery, like what is wrong? Like I'll dig in and figure it out.
Yeah, that's great to know to have that. I've been trying to rebuild my network. Moved out here and I had a huge
Mhm.
network back home, and I
Right.
was kind of like, if I don't want to do this or if I don't have time to do this, then who does? Because I
Right.
had a pretty big repair operation back home, and
Mm.
so knowing like who to call for what,
Right.
that's part of building the network, building the cross promotion,
Hmm.
all of that stuff. I love that you mentioned Gemini pickups, and I've
Hmm.
definitely come across his work in the past, and
Yeah, they're so great.
yeah, they're really nice pickups, and
Hmm.
God, there's so many nice pickup
Hmm.
makers now. People doing incredible things. Like it's like the minute you could get a benchtop CNC, like it was off to the races.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A buddy of mine, the guy who owns the building my shop is in, actually just got a big CNC. So I'm hoping, part of my problem with not building since I've been here is I'm not tooled out for it. So that cuts a lot of hours out of, out of the job of making a body and all that. So hopefully that'll help me down that path too. Get a few guitars out.
Yeah, if you ever want to build anything and need to bump some space, give me a call. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little space, but we make do.
Right.
It's almost comical. I was just talking about this earlier, like in the past. I always had my workshop at home and had a lot of space. And we moved out here and we knew we were getting into a waste. So we were downsizing and part of a one-car garage,
Ooh,
and
right.
it's interesting. I left all the amps back in California, sold off all the big machines, and
Wow.
running pretty much skeleton crew as far as machinery goes, but getting it done. But
Cool.
I always tell people that I know, like, if you need to bum a tool or borrow some shop time, let me know. I'm
Right.
happy to help if I'm home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so like I since I met you, which was like, I don't know, maybe a handful of years ago, maybe um I see that you're doing more guitar repair. When you mentioned some building, wanting to do some more guitar builds, where do you see yourself in 2 years?
Well, I think I do all the repairs for music around, all the customer repairs for music around, and a fair share of the in-store product repairs. To not be doing that is looking a gift horse in the mouth. Like, it just really keeps me busy, So I want to continue to do that. I think my time being divided in as many directions as it is kind of keeps me reined in at the level I'm at. So I just want Percolator to have a good reputation for doing quality work in a reasonable amount of time, and just grow that. And I guess my goal I see it probably happening in the next year, is maybe taking a second person in to do repairs, So
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I just learned that one of the local repair shops closed their doors this past week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, that's interesting. I
Mhm.
know I tried to swing by. I just live right down the street, and I could
Mhm.
never, I could never line up the times
Yeah.
just to stop in and say hi. And
Mhm.
I definitely left, emails, messages.
Mhm.
Never heard back, so I just figured, well,
Right.
these guys are too busy. Definitely invited them to the last show, and
Mhm.
uh, so I was just like, oh wow, all right. I
Right.
wonder how this is going to affect everyone else.
Yeah.
Knowing Fox
Mhm.
and myself, and so
Mhm.
hopefully everyone gets a little bit of that pie going around
Yeah, absolutely. I
for
think so.
repair.
I Yeah, I don't know much of the details on that. I know that he lives in Santa Fe and works down here, and that may be a part of it, is that it's just not worth the time to do it, that he has work he can do in Santa Fe. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think, I've already seen some influx off of that, some business coming in that was
cool.
directly off the back of that. So
Yeah, very
I
cool.
think I think there will be a little piece of that pie for everybody, I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right on. So out
Mm.
of everyone in the show I mean, I didn't really get a chance to get to know anybody,
Hmm.
other than like a phone call asking them to be a part of the show,
Right.
the last show. But I'm fairly certain that you might be one of the only guys who was there. Well, I guess Tyler has a band, but you've got a band. Can you talk about your band and
Yeah.
your music?
Yeah. Absolutely. I have a band called Jimmy Deveney and the Holdfast Union, and it's what we call High Desert Soul. I think it lives somewhere between like indie rock and Muscle Shoals. or Memphis in the 60s at Stax Records. Like that's definitely a major influence on the sound is like the record even has some songs with horns on it, but I definitely wanted B3. I definitely wanted, after years and years of playing Texas, I wanted the absence of fiddle and pedal steel. I wanted guitar driven, organ driven, like moving good, a good soul basis to write songs over. So
Like the flavor of Booker T and the MGs, like similar feel.
I think that's what we're going for. I think all our other influences kind of muddy the water a little bit, but I think you can feel that in there for sure. I think the soul comes through. I think, I grew up playing metal and punk rock and indie rock. I think some of that is thrown in there. I think there's probably, whether I recognize it or not, there's probably some of the years of country and Americana I played in there. So
yeah, it's interesting to see how our influences come out in the end product, and also to see where we end up.
Right.
It's interesting. I was just talking with a bunch of different people now, like you might start one way and settle into something, and if you would have talked to yourself back then, like you would have had no clue.
Right.
And yeah, I was talking to another builder, and no, you know what? Allison and I were doing like a test run on the podcast, and so she was interviewing me, and we still have to do that for real. But I 6 months ago, I didn't even know I was going to be putting all this together.
Right.
And it's interesting how things can change so fast, and then you're in it. You're in it for sure. So with your guitars, the guitar your builds, do you have any artists that you're working with?
Not currently. Well, that's not true. There's a local country artist named Lucky Mays who bought one of mine. I have seen him play it out. So I didn't do a build specifically for him. I did 3 guitars that when I started, I had a space in the same space that Rust is Gold was in, and I had a little retail area, and I just hung those guitars on the wall, and they eventually sold. And he bought one of those, and he's a good friend, and we definitely talk about guitars. I do a lot of work for him, but no, I don't have anybody that I'm specifically designing something for, other than me.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. Other than you,
yeah.
Well, that's perfectly fine. I have been learning more, and I heard this thing that just resonated with me a lot stronger than it ever has. One of the builders I was talking to, when I asked him, where do you want to be in a couple years? He said, I'd like to have a wait list.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. Having spent time in a production shop, it was like, can the work keep up with me?
Yeah.
And opposed to the other way around. And I think I had a negative association with wait lists. Like, what are you doing that it takes you so long to get something done?
Right.
And so now that I see it that way, like I'm understanding it a lot better. It's like, oh, okay, well, if we can get it to catch up to me, then that would be wonderful. I would love to have that kind of business. Right now, I just kind of build crazy ideas, and and they come out, and if people like them, they might buy them. But I haven't done a custom build in so long. I don't know if I would want to again.
Right. I think it's a lot like music. Like, you want to make music that people like and will come see or buy some form of media of. But really, for me, like, I just want what I'm doing to be better than the last thing I did. I want to make it good for me. So I think the guitars I've built on my own that weren't in a production environment were primarily for me, or just guitars that I would like to play, guitars I would like to walk in and pull off the wall somewhere and say, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, I could totally relate to that.
Yeah.
100%. It's really, and I think the coolest thing about this podcast is hearing, like-minded people say these same things that, I'm sort of questioning in my head.
Right.
And it's very reassuring. So, where can we find you? You want to share your socials, your websites, anything you want to plug, your music?
The music website is just jimmydeveney.com, and my last name is Deveney. There's an E after every letter. So that has upcoming shows. It has the videos we've done. It has press and examples of the music and everything. And then the guitar shop, I really should just get Percolator Guitars, but it's percolatorguitarrepair.com. I need to go buy another
yes.
a shorter URL there. But
yes. Yeah, so you're going to be at the upcoming show in June.
Yeah.
Are you planning on bringing anything special? Aside from yourself?
Right. I was thinking about that, and I'm trying to think of a way to spotlight that I do repairs without just bringing tools and things to sit out. But, maybe I might make like a short little video tour of the shop or something, and just have that playing on a laptop or on a small TV or something, And then I'll bring some of my builds. I don't know that there'll be anything new by then, but you never know. I might find a pair of pickups I have to build a guitar around.
Well, thanks for joining me today, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time, and it's great to get to know you a little more.
Yeah, you as well.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing this, and for putting on the show, and for doing this and organizing the next one. And you're bringing together a disparate community that should be together, so that's very cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's been the coolest thing that I feel like I've ever done involving guitars.
Nice.
And even we took the approach of curating this event, instead of just having signups, right?
Right.
And so I wanted a certain flavor, and sort of quite simply just love and appreciation. And I mean, we've all experienced times or people that just aren't coming from there, around music and whatnot. So that was really important to me. And we took the same approach with curating the music. And, originally, and I sent the questionnaire out after the last little show. I was asking everybody, if they had any bands or artists that they, had, and we ended up just kind of going neutral with it, and finding a bunch of artists that none of us knew, and so that it's not lopsided one way or the other,
right?
And a lot of them are new artists, and it kind of gives them the opportunity to become a little more known. And there's a lot of new builders as a part of the show too, which is really cool. It's very cool, and we got some of the people that I wasn't necessarily aware of, but other people were, and so to get the people that the locals like is also very, very, very exciting.
Right, that's going to get people out.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we had plenty of people for the last show, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so the next one will be at the same spot, and it'll be all day and outdoors in the back.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Nice weather.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have a gig coming up that we can plug? Today is January 19th, and
I think the next thing we have on the books is March 1st at a new place called the Nob Hill Stage, which is on Copper, just east of Carlisle, where Dawn Patrol Coffee and Public House kind of share a building, and Nob Hill Stage is part of that.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for joining me, and
Yeah.
you have a great rest of your day. And,
You too. Thank you.
I'll catch you later.
All right. See you later.
Once again, I am Perry from Unga Guitars, and this is the High Desert Luthiery Podcast. Thank you for joining me. I will catch you all in the next one.